This insightful podcast episode provides a glimpse into the experiences and insights of the Build Insite team, a passionate group dedicated to continuous learning and improvement in the construction industry. We emphasize the importance of collaboration, sharing knowledge, and exploring new technologies to advance the craft of building. We also offer valuable perspectives on starting and running a construction business, from taking it slow to finding mentors. Listeners will appreciate the team's authenticity as we share ideas on building science, business ownership, and personal growth. Our commitment to healthy homes and sustainable practices comes across clearly. If you want to hear more innovative builders pushing the envelope, be sure to check out Build Insite. The Build Insite team offer real-world stories and actionable tips to help you on your building journey. Welcome everyone to the first episode of Build Insite Podcast. I'm joined with Sean from Haven Homes, Luke from Calorie Building, Dean from Backman Building, and we haven't got Darren with us today, but he'll be on a future episode, so hold tight for that. And I've also got David here from EcoWise Homes, and I'm Anthony from Outlier, and we make up Build Insite. So we're going to have a chat today, make some introductions, allow everyone to sort of get familiar with who we all are as individuals and our backstories, as well as just have a general discussion and share some stories of our backstories and what the future of the industry looks like and what Build Insight's all about, most importantly. So I'm going to start with Sean. I'm going to pick on you first. I was wondering if you could maybe just tell the listeners who you are and what it is that you do.
Yep, so I'm Sean, Chippy Down in Tasmania, running out of Climate Zone 7, for those of you that are that way inclined to know your climate zones. And I'm just super passionate about building better. Like, I sort of fell into this building science rabbit hole a couple of years ago, and like doing further education, I guess, from like once you've done your apprenticeship, right, it's the onus is on you to like upskill and keep getting better. So yeah, I sort of got stuck into the YouTubes, figured out that maybe the way that we're doing things now is probably not the best. Like, there's room for improvement across the board. And I love just figuring out really cost-effective ways of getting like those details nutted out and making a building like bomb-proof. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you're talking everyone's language there. Cost-effective solutions to high-performance outcomes. I think that goes without saying for the group at the table today. Okay, Luke, you want to share who you are to the audience and what it is that you do?
Hello, everybody. I'm Luke Calorie, based in Adelaide, South Australia. Following off from Shawnee, I suppose I better give the climate zone. We're in 4 and 5 predominantly in Adelaide. We've got climate zone 6 up in the hills, a little bit here as well. Started out my trade as a carpenter back in 2009, I think it was. Just did what I could there, subbing for a little while for a few guys, got my builder's license back in 2017 and decided that, just wanted to do things a little different, go out on my own. I really only got into we'll call it better building practices, I suppose, and more of the high performance stuff, just through joining with like people and actually collaborating with Dean and Daz, the Backman boys, as well as a couple other guys there. They really inspired me and everybody pre-warned, as soon as you start to dive down that rabbit hole, there's no turning back. And geez, were they right. So yeah, it's been an interesting 18 months, really, just learning just different ways to go about it, realising how terrible we actually do build. What's acceptable here in this country is quite embarrassing, to be honest with you. So yeah, really excited to jump on this journey with you guys and just see this really unfold and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I mean, the collaboration is another key component to what we'll talk about today, and I think we're all there with you on the journey. All right, Dean, you're on my right. I can't turn from the mic in case I reduce the audio input, but do you want to tell the listeners who you are and what it is that you do, and maybe speak for Daz a little bit too?
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Obviously Dean, one half of Backman Builders, the older brother. Darren and myself started on our Backman Builders journey when we were 23 and 21 years old, and we've been down many roads, some windy roads, but yeah, we've had a really good journey to where we are now. I'm currently relocated a few years ago out to the Macedon Ranges, so down the climate zone, same as Shawnee, climate zone 7. We get some pretty cold weather and then some pretty hot weather as well. So my journey started as a carpenter, as most builders did, but we're now what we see as professional builders. We've got a big emphasis on building healthy homes. Been a asthmatic all my life, so that really encouraged me to really pursue more healthy homes. Led us to becoming Passive House certified, but we're just really concentrating on building better. We're really passionate about helping other people. We've learned some lessons in business as well, that flow on to well-being. There's definitely been times in my building career that I've neglected myself and paid the consequences, whether it's been some mental battles that we all fight, relationship stuff. But yeah, I feel like being past my mid-30s, probably seen as a bit of an older head now. Maybe not the oldest sitting here, but we won't go into that, boys. It's I really feel like I'm sort of starting to hit a sweet spot in what we do, for the fact that we just enjoy all parts of building now. But we're pretty hell-bent on. That's why we're sitting here with Build Insite. We're passionate about doing great things for the industry, helping others get the education out there. And yeah, it's nice to sort of show some mistakes and stuff that we do as well, because none of us are perfect. So we're all in just to sort of make it a better place to be involved.
I like that you've just brought up, the importance that you put on health for occupants of homes, as well as well-being for those in industry. So yeah, there's no denying that. I think everyone's path or journey has been windy at times. So it's good to be able to share those stories, I think, and hopefully people can relate who are listening as well.
Exactly, mate.
Yeah, David, would you like to tell our audience who you are?
Sure, Anthony. So I'm David Millard. I run a business called EcoWise Homes here in Central Victoria, Australia. Bendigo, Castlemaine sort of area. My journey in the building industry started about 17 years ago as a carpenter apprentice, and became qualified in that. And sort of along that, sort of about 10 years ago now, I went out on my own, and I'm sure as all you guys probably relate, when you start your own business, you think you know everything and think you're ready to conquer the build industry, and you soon find out that you don't know that much, and you've got a hell of a lot to learn. But somewhere along that line, I did a HRI Green Smart course, which is a 2-day course, an introduction into, solar passive design, sustainability, if you will, and sort of walked away from that a bit sort of gobsmacked that some of the basic fundamentals aren't actually preached anywhere within the industry. And then, since then, further some studies and, did my Passive House Certified Tradesman course and a few other online stuff. And also just consumed a lot of YouTube content about, building in Europe and America and that sort of thing to improve the way we build, to then sort of, have costs or aspirations to try and reduce costs. So, we try to build homes that are relatively cost effective and perform well, but also I really try to focus on bulk water management. So whether that's flashing details from external bulk water or internal waterproofing, and that, as you all know, the number one killer of a home is bulk water. So, yeah.
I love it. Everyone here has brought up all the key components of what we're about, I believe, at Build Insite. And, education is one of the things that seems to have been your main influence and driving force towards where you've ended up, David. So that's really cool. I might actually just recap there, though. You're the only one who didn't bring up where your climate zone is that you're building. So got to keep that going. What do you think, if you were to say to anyone listening, like, do you have a superpower? Is there anything particularly that you think that you excel at, or?
Depends who you ask, I guess. But for me, I think as a builder, my main strength is my organisation, and it's probably a little bit of an OCD trait I do have, but it's something that I've always focused on right from when I first started my own business, has been organised, making sure I'm on top of things. And I do see that as probably my main strength as a builder. Yeah.
Very good. All right, Dean, what about yourself? You got a superpower or anything you think you excel at?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one, mate. I think really probably is my motivation. I've definitely a pretty self-motivated person. So for me, one thing we do concentrate, not just in my own time, but us as a collective, we are really motivated and look to growth. And I feel like every day is a new opportunity to improve at something. So we obviously have some days where we feel, isn't your day, but it's just one day. So yeah, it's probably the good thing about life, business, building. We've got another day, the next day, and the next day to keep getting better and learning new things. So
You're describing resilience right there.
Yeah. But we can't go too much further, mate. We actually need an intro from yourself too. We need to know about Anthony behind the mic.
Yeah, hold up.
Well, yeah, I don't think I got the memo, right? So I was a carpenter, and then instead of becoming a builder, I decided to become a designer. So I don't know where I went wrong there. No, I did actually go to night school and complete my Cert 4 in building construction with every intention of being a builder. But yeah, after a stint doing some skate park design and construction, I just fell in love with the design, and I went back and studied that for 3 years. That was exactly 10 years ago. And yeah, I have just had a constant drive towards what can be always done better in industry. So that is very distracting, Luke.
He's got Luke taking a selfie here.
He's got
shameless selfie.
All about the gram.
On my right side. So I completely just kept pushing. So I'd find out about passive solar design, and then I would find out about this course, and then I'd find out about passive house. And as soon as I kept finding these things, I would pursue them. And fortunately enough, I think once you have your own business, it gives you this flexibility and freedom to spend your time how you choose to, whether it's right or wrong for the business at times, that you choose to spend that time. And I decided to take that one step further and start researching ourselves. So that, with David, we've sent out multiple sensor arrays into buildings, and we report the data back, and we get to learn from it. So it's like a building that's able to tell us how it can perform better. And from that, we have our blower door testing and thermography, and that's where my passion has lied in more recent years. And, that also gives us that feedback on how we know the buildings are performing, how they've been built, and how, we can improve those into the future. So that's the kind of little backstory on me. And I mention those things particularly because they're the things you'll probably hear me talk more about as we move forward. So I think I might, circle back to you, Sean. And I wouldn't mind asking you if you've got anything that you learnt when you were a carpenter, particularly, maybe more because you've just recently started Haven Homes, but so it might be more in your carpentry history, and what you think you may have learnt there. So like a big lesson or something that you might be able to share with those listening that, or maybe one or maybe multiple lessons that you think you've learnt during that time.
Just I guess. More recently, just maintaining an open mind, and that there is so much to learn, and you just can't know it all. So, and it doesn't matter who you're talking to. Everyone's got someone to teach you. Everyone's got something to teach you. Like I've learned stuff off, apprentices that are under me, just by listening to how and watching how their brain thinks and how they'll process a certain thing. And it's just it's just incredible. There's something to learn every day and in everything. And I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great attitude.
Yeah. Luke, do you have, is there anything that you would like to share with the, audience that you feel would be beneficial for them in what they've done and in your experience as a carpenter and a builder? Major lesson or word of advice?
I'd like to back up what Sean said, basically. I think back to when I finished my time as an apprentice, I sort of was in a bit of a tricky scenario. I kind of got left without a job. We were pretty quiet. The guy that I was working with, as soon as I got signed off, I got put on as a casual, and we had nothing to do. So I had to learn very quickly to look around and work for a pretty vast variety of builders, and just learning or realising that, exactly like Sean said, you don't know everything. There's always a different way to do something, and trying to pick apart all the bits, I suppose the good bits of everyone that you've worked with, and trying to collaborate or combine all those into, I guess, what you see best fit for what you want to achieve out of building. I think it was, I'm very thankful looking back on that time that I was able to work with so many different people in a short period of time, rather than getting stuck in your way for 10 years or 15 years or whatever, and not knowing any different. And exactly that, to be completely honest, I spend not a lot of time on site at all anymore. I don't really do anything on the tools. And so my guys, I'm sort of going out and seeing what they're doing some days, and some of the new guys that we have come through as well, just seeing and being open to listen to what others say. So I think it's been a really interesting experience in that way. And just from what I've learned in doing a lot more of my own research online into just better building methods as well, and then being able to share that with my guys, that you can just see their eyes light up straight away as soon as you show, this is the way that we've always built it. But, what about we explore this option? This is why we're going to build this way. This is why it performs better. It's going to reduce the risk of any future implications, and just everyone being so open and on board to wanting to build better. It's been a very welcoming experience.
Yeah, I've certainly enjoyed following all your journeys, particularly when it comes to the details. We've got some high level detail creators here in this space. So
I think that's a cool thing too, mate. Is the tools? I love what Lukey and Shawnee were both just saying. We've got tools these days that actually really advance our crews. Like, it's not just a matter of getting out and learning with other carpenters or trades now. I know each of these guys we've engaged before Build Insite, and that's how we all connected. Yep. We've got the power of Instagram, like for what Shawnee does with Tassie Builders blog, for example, with some of the details that we've shot back and forth over time, and getting out to Dave's site with some of our carpenters early days when we're learning about building high performance. And, we're all contributing to that, but there's no, of course there's a right and a wrong, but there's so many opportunities to sort of get an insight into how to do something different to maybe you've been taught. Because I'm not saying just sit on Instagram all the time, but Instagram or YouTube, we can actually show some of our team different building methodologies.
For sure.
It's like the modern day
we didn't have.
It's like the modern day schoolyard, it seems like. Falling down the YouTube rabbit hole, and then like finding other build, like you're like, oh yep, so there's another way to do it. It's like not how we do it in Australia. And then you look and you find other builders in Australia who have like also fallen down the said rabbit hole, and it's just like, it's unreal, the collaboration in that. And I think the community that is online, it's super positive, and it's really good to be a part of.
Yeah, I think that's how we've all connected, right? I think that's where it all started. So if anyone's out there listening, message, get into people's DMs, reach out if you see something you're interested to know more about. I know we just attended a sustainability expo a couple of weekends ago, and a fourth-year carpentry apprentice was just like, "What is that?" as he runs over to watch me do a blower door demonstration. He sat there front row, like eyes open, like, "What? Tell me more." So I know that everyone's hungry for it, and the next generation's coming up. And like, I am absolutely like putting the spotlight on carpenters here because that's our backgrounds, but this applies to all trades and everyone in industry. Like, get amongst it. If you've got a passion or a drive to want to do more, like, absolutely get out there, message people, connect, network, ask questions, see what's available with, new tools. And as you said, it's the education aspect for sure.
That's a good point too, mate. Like, even I know for yourself, like doing blower door tests between Outlier and Backman Builders, we've actually had like cabinet maker, painter, plumber, electricians, like be there to see a blower door test. I mean, a painter doesn't really need to know about a blower door test, but just for them to say, "Oh, that's how it's done. I can see what you're doing differently with your builds now." That's why it's high performing. Yeah.
And that's a good segue to David, because boy, have we spent some, I was going to say hours, but it's more now. It's days.
Yeah, definitely.
On sites, learning and testing and learning and testing.
Yep.
Is there any advice or, key insights that you would like to share with those listening?
In building in general? Or?
Yeah, in building or carpentry. I know you are a very passionate carpenter as well. So,
well, I've made plenty of mistakes over the years, that's for sure. To narrow it down to a few, anyone looking to start a building business, I would say get to know your numbers, understand where costs lie, take baby steps. Don't try and conquer the world and, go from, doing 10 homes, within your first, so many years. Just take your time, do it right. But also to add to that the best way to learn about business is actually to be in business. I know, you can do as much preparation as you like, but until you actually boots on the ground and you see things, and, I'm sure you can vouch for that, Dean, it is a good way to learn about business. And I think the biggest game changer for my business has been getting involved in the pre-construction process.
Yeah.
before I started EcoWise Homes and we were a building company, we were tendering 11 jobs to win one. And that's all back then was my hours done after work. So that's a lot of time away from the family. So yeah, I know for me that's been a huge game changer.
Yeah, I second that. Like from a designer's perspective, I would probably say that the biggest positive change in my business was working with builders in that paid consultancy role. And I mean, we'll talk more on that for sure.
Well, that's the powerful thing. That's how we kind of connected as well. I know that's how Luke connected with yourself and Shawnee, and you became acquainted. Darren as well was in that picture. But it's definitely a part of the industry that is growing as it should be. I think that's the thing. People might still think it's just a quote that pre-construction, and it's far from it. And like we're in that space, so we just have seen such an advantage to working collaboratively with the designers, build teams, getting trades in. But overall, like what we're doing as a builder, a designer, is for the client. And the value we give those clients is just incredible.
It's not just the quote,
relationships as well.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah.
I'll just butt in there, boys. I think Anthony's trying to be the host of the show, so he doesn't get the hard questions. But Anthony, so tell us, mate, what's you with your business, carpentry? What's some challenges, and talk to me.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Like the best way to learn about business is to be in business, because I studied a Bachelor of Business at university before I was a carpenter. And then I thought I was running a business, but I was just a contractor. And I spent some years, being a contractor, being carpentry, and also completed a second trade as well in concreting at that time. And it wasn't until, I took the plunge and jumped out. Now, mind you, I was swinging. This is probably some advice. If you are thinking about starting your own business, it makes it really hard on you if you jump in with both feet. It does pay to just sort of dip a foot in first and test the waters. I think Scott Pape calls it swinging the trapeze. So you sort of get that side thing happening and you get some rhythm with it, and to a point where it's ready to then go full time with, because you're going to burn a bucket load of cash otherwise, and you're going to need a bucket load of cash to burn if you decide you're going to jump in and just start flailing. And hey, you might be able to make that work. You really might, but it will be a bit harder. And that's where the second advice that I like you gave, David, is do it slow. Don't try and then, take on 10 builds in the first year. But good on you too, by the way, if the insurance companies are giving you that kind of cover. But it would be more just, take it slow, one step at a time. And that's probably where another good bit of advice that I've probably neglected as well until latter in the business, but is a mentor, someone who's in industry who's already done this for you, who's been there and done it. Ask them, learn from their mistakes, so it saves you the pain and misery. And I think that's where Live, Life, Build comes in. Like there's some, testament to Amelia and Dwayne, great mentors. And it doesn't always have to be a direct mentor either. Indirectly, you might follow someone on social media who gives this stuff away for free all the time. It's great. If you see what they're doing and it's working, maybe, even reach in and just message them. So I think, that's probably, it's definitely for me more business minded. I'm not going to dive into the particulars of carpentry versus concreting versus design versus, these other things, but business mind.
I suppose you realistically need a mindset like Dean Backman to be determined, because
or crazy
because it can be bloody frustrating being a builder at times and that sort of thing. But it's just about the next day is going to be better than the last. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's probably more of a question for possibly Luke and yourself, David. Here, like I know Shawnee and Zane are in partnership. And I'm more just leave Anthony out of this just because it's more building company related. But Dave, yourself, like Darren and myself have got each other as soundboards and, take frustrations out on each other and get through hard times together as partners. And, being brothers, we've got an amazing relationship. Yeah. But what do you guys do, and how do you find being in a building company as a solo builder? Like you're it. Buck stops with you. You don't have someone else to go to. At the end of the day, you got trusted people, but it's yourself. Like your name's on it. Lukey's got the calorie name, just like we have the original last names there, Lukey?
Early on for me, it was very challenging. So it was probably at the time I started EcoWise Homes and it was probably at the very start of, podcasting and before it really took off and that sort of thing. I was so confused about business. I didn't, I knew what to do on site and that sort of thing, but the stuff behind the scenes, it was all just HIA and all those sort of platforms, which, don't get me wrong, they serve a purpose within the industry. But I was craving for, like a mentor or something like that. That's when I have reached across Dwayne Pearce at Live Life Build. And obviously, just how transparent he is, with his social media content and obviously the courses that he runs and that. So early on, it was really challenging. I'm extremely grateful. I have an amazing wife that's always there as a soundboard. She puts up the fair bit sometimes. But for me now, I'm in a really fortunate position. I've got a lead carpenter on site, Darcy, who has an amazing understanding about carpentry and starting to get more involved within the business. And he's a really genuine person, and he's a great sounding board because he's someone you can definitely bounce ideas off and that sort of thing. So what about you, Lukey?
I agree with just about everything you said there, mate. In the early days, it was incredibly difficult. I mean, it still does get difficult now. It doesn't matter whether you've got a business partner or not. There's always shit that you go through that it is a massive mental battle. But I think definitely in the early days, having that level of responsibility and still being able to block that out and show up every day to your employees and not show it. Because I think that was where the biggest downfall was. If you did show up and you looked stressed, you looked tired, you looked pissed off at everything, it reflects straight to them, and then they're just kicking the can down the road as well. So it's definitely, like you said, Dave, hats off to the light party you pick. My wife, Caitlin, she's been absolutely incredible at supporting everything that I've done. And I tell you, there's some days where I go home and you kick the boots up, you sit on the lounge and you just sit there with your head in your hands and you think, what am I doing? Why would anyone want to put himself through this? And then just to have that 5-10 minute debrief, just, things are right, look at where you started, look at where you've come from, look at where you are now. Just take a deep breath, jump in the ice bath, clear the head, and then off you go again. So, it's moving forward to today, having that, being comfortable to open up, I suppose, and reach out to other blokes like yourselves. Everyone goes through the same battles every day. It might be on different levels, but everybody still faces the same challenges. It is okay to reach out to the guy down the road and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. I've noticed that you look like you're doing it right. I don't want to know all your secrets, but any advice that you can give. I actually did have a bloke that he retired going back about maybe 4 years ago now. We used to do a lot of contract carpentry for him. He didn't have anyone to leave the business to, and he kind of took me under his wing and mentored me to an extent. Sort of a little bit different to what we do, stuck in the old builder's mindset of you have to competitive tender. This is the way you do it. It's the way we've always done it. You won't change it. It really brings great joy to me to actually seeing some of the changes that he has also told me that you won't change it. You won't be able to do that different, and the way that we are actually doing it differently. And just given that, not having to dig back at him, but just that satisfaction of, well, this is the challenge that we had at hand. You said that there was no way that we were going to do it this way, and well, we have. This is the way it's paid off. This is the incentive we've got, and this is the project we've got in front of us now. It's incredible. So, having that support from guys like yourselves, we're obviously a part of Live Life Build as well. So, getting those resources through those platforms, it's having that confidence to reach out and ask for help. It's not a gigantic competition like everybody thinks it is.
Yep. I'm going to definitely jump in on that and just say, look after yourself. That's probably the most important thing right there. Because if you're not looking after yourself, you're probably likely taking it out on those who least deserve it, your loved ones. And by looking after yourself, you'll get better outcomes. It's sometimes really hard to break the mold, like getting up when the alarm goes off. That can be really challenging some days, really hard. But if you're in a good mindset, boy, is that easy. You're just springing out of bed. Sometimes you're waking up before your alarm goes off. So, that can be anything from, like you just said, Luke, like ice baths or meditation or just spending one-on-one time. Don't look at your phone for that first hour of the morning if you can help it. Like little tricks that can just make such big differences. Making sure that your diet's reasonably good. Like there's so much that can be done that ultimately is just going to make you, just be in a better mindset and a better frame of mind, and that's going to canvas down to your team. As a leader, you're right. Sometimes you just got to wear that brave face, and you've got to ensure that your team are performing optimally as well, and encourage them, get around them.